Welcome to Buckets. We're going to 7. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. After Game 6 of the NBA Finals, as the Indiana Pacers, against all odds, force a Game 7 in the NBA Finals to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll talk about the live line tonight as it continues to move. The line is moving for Game 7. We'll talk about the game. We'll talk about the series. We'll talk about all these types of things. Everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. Go download it right now. Give us a like and subscribe if you're watching at youtube.com/the Action Network. Okay, so Tyrese Haliburton plays, and I said on the last post-game show with Brandon Anderson, I said you don't want to overreact to the injury stuff. You should not be betting this game based on the injury stuff. You do not know what he's going to look like. One thing I will say that we have learned, you could trust injury reports that came out of Adrian Wojnarowski. Adrian Wojnarowski was not going to put out stuff unless he knew for certain what it was going to look like. Adrian Wojnarowski has retired. So all I'm saying is the next time that we have this type of situation, you should be very cautious in betting it. Now, I was on Thunder tonight because I have a shit ton of Pacers positions on top of various Thunder positions I picked up in the conference finals. Particularly, we bet Pacers to win from behind. That was at 20-1 after they won Game 3. So that's live. I basically have a 20-1 money line on Game 7. I had Pacers to win Game 3 and the Thunder to win the series at plus 300. I'm not bragging. I am stating why I am not going to bet Game 7. I don't want any part of this. I've already hedged the position. I'm good on either side. I will take the little profit I will get back on the many Celtics positions I've killed and go home. But I do think it's important for me to say it right off the top. Do not overreact to those injury type of things. I tried to say it, citing my 17 years of history covering this league. Sometimes you get hit with Tyrese Haliburton coming out and on fire. Although Tyrese Haliburton does finish in this game with just 5 assists because he goes under because he only had to play 22 minutes because they clocked him so bad. With me tonight, Brian Fonseca NY on Twitter, in the Action Network app, on YouTube at Brian Fonseca. Covers WNBA and NBA as well as combat sports. He's going to be on the Action Network pod on Monday talking NBA draft, as well as on our WNBA pod, our WNBA Buckets podcast, which I call Wuckets because it's a cool name. Also join me, Brandon Kravitz from the Zone, in the Zone, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. At Brandon Kravitz, at BK Picks in the Action Network app. Kravitz, what's your reaction to this Game 6 performance from the Indiana Pacers?
One of the things that made me fall in love with this podcast channel to begin with was the honesty felt from all of the hosts. I want to be excited about Game 7. Somebody's going to have to get me there. I don't know. I think I had already sort of booked the funeral, and now here we are with a game that I don't know. There's something missing for me. Now, part of this could be that I came out completely flat tonight. I had the under at 224.5. Got that. Tyrese Haliburton under 7.5 assists. I was with you guys on that one. Got that. Now, Siakam, I chose to go the points route at 21.5 to the over. And, well, they didn't need him at the end of the game, so he didn't hit it. I also had the Thunder minus 1.5 in the series after they dropped Game 1 at even money. I felt like that was the bet of all bets. So I essentially had a Thunder money line ticket tonight. I came out completely even. I think overall, Haliburton, now with the full sample of the game, looked pretty good. And you're right. Let's just call Shams. Let's just say the name. Shams may have blown this one out of proportion. Early on in the game, he did not look good. The Pacers were 0 for 8 to start this game before Carlisle calls a timeout. And it was the timeout that started one hell of a run. OKC, 5 first-quarter turnovers. Nembhard, Siakam, Toppin all carrying the load offensively. And it was pretty much just off from there. I know a lot of people probably live bet the Thunder and lost money on that. But Are you guys with me? Like the game 7, it's nice that we have it. This doesn't feel like some epic game 7.
Oh, it does to me. I'm completely on the other side of this. I could not be more excited for game 7. Could not be more excited.
I will hype it. I will hype
it.
Like
we've only gotten 19 of this and 19 of these in NBA history.
Don't do that because we've gotten some garbage ones too.
I don't give a shit.
We sat through Lakers Celtics 2010.
No. I'm not gonna do the thing where it's like, oh, like this might be a blowout. I don't give a shit. We have a game 7 in the NBA Finals for the first time in almost a decade. It doesn't happen. And I don't give a shit if you're wagging your finger at me, Matt.
You gotta wait.
With the Pacers, this is the team who we have the stat outline. 15 times of the 19, the home team has won in game 7s. It doesn't matter with the Pacers. Like every stat doesn't matter with this team. They can figure out a way to potentially win this against OKC on the road. I think this is why I'm excited about it. It's because even though OKC opens up 8.5 point favorites or whatever it is, and they've been overwhelmingly favored and honestly overpriced the entire playoffs. And now we have a team who actually, even though we think of them as inferior, they can win this game. So we're getting a game 7 that I legitimately think both teams can win. Like, to me, that's enough.
Yeah. I think I'd be there if tonight's game played out differently, but it didn't. This was not an entertaining basketball game. Pretty much full stop all the way throughout. And that leaves a sour taste in my mouth for game 7.
But I will do a better job because Brian Fonseca just wants to talk about like Brian's trying to appeal to the pure hoop heads. And I respect it, but also most of the pure hoop heads are annoying. So I will instead try it this way. You got the number 1 seed, the team with the best point differential in NBA history that has come so close so many times and has never gotten there. The most dominant team in the regular season. Nobody in front of them. Everybody's already counting, oh, the Thunder are going to win 2, 3. It's a dynasty already. They're already doing that, Brandon. They lose this game.
Yeah.
It's the biggest choke, second biggest choke of all time. It's just the 73-win Warriors and them. That's it. You can't lose to a 4-seed Pacers team. I love this Pacers team. They're dogs, and they are live. The Pacers have routinely in these playoffs shown they do not care about home court advantage. They do not care about how good you are at home. They do not care that they're not supposed to win a game. They go in there, and they absolutely fuck shit up. And you've got to defend your entire season and all this stuff that you've done. Think about the absolute destruction that will follow if OKC blows this and the Pacers at this number with these odds pull this off. That's one of the best comebacks, at least in 2016. You're like, well, LeBron. Like, sure, 73 wins, but I mean, LeBron. Now it's like, sure, best point differential in NBA history, but Tyrese Haliburton on one leg. Like, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. They've been dogs 3 straight series, and they're 1 win away from the first NBA Finals. There's so much on the line in this Game 7, Kravitz. That was my best.
Okay.
Matt, let me ask you
by Sunday night, I will feel differently. Okay,
yeah, Brandon, you'll get there.
Of course I will. I love this game. I love covering this game. I love betting this game. I love the fact that we have another one. I just don't have the feeling sitting here right now like, oh my God, I can't wait to watch that again. Because if we're being honest with ourselves, can the Pacers shock the world? Of course they can. They've only been doing that for the last 2 months, but they probably won't. That was probably the last gasp of a dying cat. And they're probably going to get smacked around at OKC. Look at throughout this entire series. Oklahoma City has been significantly better when their backs are against the wall. Very rarely do I come on here and credit something Stephen A. Smith said at halftime, but he's right. OKC was playing like they knew they had a Game 7 in their back pocket. That's exactly what it looked like. It's not going to look like that on Sunday night, and it's probably going to be a blowout.
Yeah,
I would take, by the way, Thunder minus 8.5. Just take it right now.
Go ahead.
You got to look at this, though. Like, to Matt's point, I'm also thinking about, for our sake, if you work in this business, the content that comes, regardless of, especially if OKC loses, but regardless of what happens from a game 7, like there's a lot. The Knicks already fired their coach because of how they look at the Pacers. And they still don't have one. And the Pacers might actually hold up the trophy. We don't know if they're like a lot of people didn't think that they would push to game 7 at this point. And also, Matt, I want to ask you something. If OKC, because this is the kind of shit that's going to be going on if OKC loses. If OKC loses, will they have Kevin Durant by Tuesday?
No.
No, I don't
They
think
they might have Giannis Antetokounmpo by August.
Yeah, the Western Conference should really want OKC to win this game.
You see, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why we need this.
Okay, so I want to go.
This is going to determine a lot.
Cody mentions this: the last three teams down 3-2 in the finals to win Game 6, won Game 7. If we go back and we go past the second round, conference finals or finals, those teams to lose or to win Game 6 to force Game 7, 3-2 straight up on the road as a dog in Game 7. That's nuts. That's wild. That's absolutely berserk. For them to have that kind of a situation, for like that is Pistons over Heat in the conference finals 2005. Pistons lost when they were up against the Spurs in 2005 in the finals.
Also,
Pacers lost to the Heat in 2013, forcing a Game 7. The Cavs over the Warriors, and then the Cavaliers over the Celtics in 2018. So, like, look, it's 5 games. But, by the way, the under in those games, 5-0 in all those games.
And the total here is low. 213.5.
Lowest of the series, I think, right? Lowest of the series?
Oh, it has to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, well, what's weird, too, is Game 7s have this reputation for being this great under spot, right? And the problem is that it's very round dependent, where the under is, but it's in these rounds. The under in Game 7 since 2003 in conference finals or finals games is 11-1. That's why that number is what it is. That's why. It gets progressively worse. First round, they don't go. There's no under trend there. We talked about that way back in the day and 17 years ago in the first round. Let's start this from a basketball perspective. So I hear you, Kravitz, on the OKC played like a team that's got one. But my problem is, like, this is the team I don't think you can do that against.
Right.
And when the Thunder won Game 4, I was on the favorites, and I said I like OKC in 5 and 6 or Pacers in 7. Brandon Anderson tomorrow is going to be with Brandon Kravitz. Like, I could just tell you right now on our show, we'll have a 2:30 Eastern live on youtube.com/the Action Network. Anderson's like, he's already said he's going to be on OKC alts.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that. That's how Brandon operates. The better team's going to win. They're going to win by margin. It's going to be a blowout. And it's entirely possible. It is entirely possible. I do want to make note of this, though. Like Cody says, Game 7s are just different. They are, but they're not uniformly different. They're not all this grind, slimy, close game. Like a lot of the time, they are, in fact, like OKC, Denver. This series has followed the Denver series exactly. OKC lost Game 1, got back in a blowout Game 2. They lose Game 3 on the road, and everyone goes, are the Thunder going down? They win Game 4, and everyone goes, oh, order restored. They take care of business in Game 5 and cover, and everyone's like, oh, OKC's got it. Denver forces Game 7 by winning Game 6 at home pretty comfortably, and then the Thunder blow them out in Game 7. That's a completely reasonable take, except for my argument would be that the Pacers are not the Nuggets, and they are wired extremely differently. That is my biggest take here, Kravitz. It's just like, this Pacers team is not like Denver. They have more in the tank. They are tougher. They are more aggressive. They are deeper. And they're really not scared of going on the road and getting that win.
This just felt a lot like the win one for the Gipper game. Halliburton played well for a stretch, but I thought the team as a whole came out really inspired around him. And and they had the home court advantage on their side. OKC still is a very tough place to play. And if you want to follow the flow of the series, so the Pacers gave us that miraculous game 1, and Halliburton hits the game-winning shot. What happens the very next game? This Pacers team that's built different got blown out. Then the Pacers go home. They get a win. Uh-oh. They're up 2-1 in this series. What happened in the next game? The Thunder owned the Indiana Pacers. Then in the very next, especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, no, you can't skip over that. It's not that they own them. They own them in the fourth quarter, and that's it. They had to come from way back in that game, and that was a weird game.
It's true. So I was sort of skipping ahead because in game 5, they did do that. And then this is here we go again. Here come the Pacers with their heroic effort. They give you this every once in a while, and it is absolute theater when it happens, except for the fact that OKC didn't show up. So really, it was a bad movie because this game wasn't very good. I think this series is following a very particular trend that leads to OKC. I'm not in the Branderson world where I'm willing to throw my money at a Thunder minus 19.5. He's the ROI king. So credit to him for being ballsy enough to do that. I will happily take my Thunder minus 8.5 ticket and cash it after Sunday night. I'm just not of the belief that this game is going to be very good. And I don't know. This is the beauty and the curse of doing a post-game show is I haven't completely wrapped my head around the why of this. I'm kind of tired of watching these two teams play each other. I think that's part of it. I like both of their brands of basketball.
This is crazy.
I know. This is like one of the best. This is like one of the best series.
I Brandon, so let me ask you this. Do you need, I don't need every game in a series to be a good game. To me, was it like a good game in terms of it being competitive? No. Was it interesting to see the Thunder get their ass beat and figure out, how now they have to put something together for game 7? Yeah, I think the entire game was interesting up until we saw garbage time or whatever. But that's interesting to me, given that we're done with game 6 and it wasn't a close game 6. It was game 6 where the Pacers put it on OKC. And this to me is different because OKC, while we can say they have a game in hand, so to speak, who do you think, for anybody watching, who do you think is going to come out tighter in game 7? Because I think the Pacers will probably have a more free-flowing game to at least start. OKC may figure some things out as they go. Game 7 against Denver, it started off a little rocky, and then they went on their run, and then it was over. But this is everything for OKC right now, as Matt outlined earlier. So to me, I'm looking at this this is an immense pressure situation, obviously for both teams because it's a game 7, but I feel way more almost concerned with OKC might not get off to the greatest start here. Or will they bend as the game progresses if they get off to that great start? Because Indiana is the ultimate comeback team, the ultimate fuck you team, the ultimate team that comes back. Any point of the game, they could just go on this run and all of a sudden they just take it from you. OKC could even dominate the entire game 7. And then Indiana comes back and there's an 18-2 run. And then all of a sudden they won 101-99. And we don't know what the fuck just happened. So to me, this being a blowout almost makes game 7 more interesting, because I think if Indiana just wins, people are like, oh, okay, OKC's going to stomp them. Now I think there's actually more doubt about the favorites heading into this next game. And to me, that's interesting. And I care mostly about interesting versus anything else.
I mean, one of the toughest things to accurately portray is player motivation, player psychology. But what I saw from the Pacers defensively tonight is what you usually see from OKC. Smothering defense, pressuring the ball, recovering quickly, where the rim protection was there, all these things that we credit OKC for. Those things, I don't know why they were not present tonight. I cannot answer that, but I can tell you with all the confidence in the world that they will be there on Sunday night. And I think they're going to be there early on. The Thunder have this ability to kind of turn it on and just suck the air out of their opponents.
So does Indiana.
I think that's
Like, it's different, but so does Indiana. Indiana just does it with ball movement and offense and cutting and shot making, and OKC does it with defense. And by the way, like, we haven't really had a lot of turnover avalanches in this series at all. Like, I took a bet before this series, either team to get the steals record, basically, at like 1,000,000 to 1. It was a ridiculous number. Matter of fact, Indiana got 16 steals today, so they were 3 away from that record. Doesn't look like it's going to hit unless Game 7 is that ridiculous. But
and I think that you might have just hit on exactly what it is. It's these turnovers. Like that to me has been, that is the detail of the series, is if you're able to turn your opponent over, it's almost like the what we say throughout the course of the year. Well, this team just hit their threes. So if you turn the ball over, you're screwed. Our friend Raheem Palmer shared this in the middle of the game. He said this is the second time all year in which the Thunder haven't created a steal or a live ball turnover in the first half. They played 103 games this year. It happened twice. One of them was tonight. That's not going to happen again.
And Raheem also said whoever loses Game 5 will win Game 6 and Game 7.
We win some, we lose some.
OKC. So I said before the series, you can pencil in OKC for 2 blowouts a series. Game 2, they win by 16. Game 5, they won by 11, and it doesn't feel like that was enough of a blowout. So I'm caught here with being like, is this the other one? That's the thing. I am content to sit on this one, because I totally
you on in, Matt. Come on, you on in.
I'm gonna wind up betting Pacers money line. Let's just be really honest about this. Like, I already told, like, Fonseca and I already said, I think after Game 2, we were like, if this goes 7, I'm gonna want the Pacers on the money line, and Brian was like, yes. I think we were actually, it was the Game 4 game preview pod, the best bets pod. It was with Fiddle, and Fiddle was like, oh, I want OKC. And so it's gonna be like, we're gonna be split as a group on this about who's gonna win. And I totally,
and some of us have Pacers and 7 tickets at large numbers.
Yeah, I think we gotta just we kind of just gotta talk about like what we're actually, like what we do if we come in clean right now, because like all of us have positions, whether it's Jim Turvey and I jumped on 33-1 Tyrese Halliburton Finals MVP at halftime, because that was a ridiculous number at FanDuel, and currently that number is 1,400. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is down to -250. Jalen Williams, who I got at 85-1, is down to 10-1. I still think J-Dub's got a great position. Shai had 8 turnovers in this game. If J-Dub outplays him in Game 7, I really do. Even though, by the way, Jalen was a -40 tonight. I am aware of that number. I'm going to scream to high heavens what everyone yells at me when I cite plus minus single game. Doesn't matter. Single game plus minus. TJ McConnell is 200-1. if you are into such things, look, man.
So you're looking at FanDuel with that?
I am looking at a book in the market.
Right.
Wait.
That's
Matt,
what I meant to say, Matt.
I'm
looking at another book that has them 120-1. So we're a little off on the market.
I think people watching this will legitimately, or some of you guys will legitimately want to at least entertain TJ McConnell. Can you lay out the case? Because it doesn't sound ridiculous to you, like completely ridiculous to you, Matt, that TJ McConnell could actually do this at 200-1.
Look, TJ is like the type of guy that the voters are going to want to reward.
Oh, I wonder why.
He's been.
Oh, well.
Yo, you can't tee me up like that.
I know,
and not expect me to just.
I know. Voters like Mark Spears and others will also find that McConnell has shaped the series in a very significant way. Like, there is like I think there's a real chance that McConnell, if neither guy, because here's the thing, Tyrese has had an underwhelming statistical series. The most likely outcome is Siakam. Siakam is the most likely outcome. He's plus 370, right? Which is right in line with where our money line is. Our money line currently sits. So Siakam's plus 370. There's a plus 290 on the Pacers. So I would say, like, I think Siakam is like, if you like Pacers, you should just bet Siakam. I just think that it's entirely possible that if TJ has another, oh my God, he stole 5 inbound passes. He made all these little bitty plays. Like, to me, honestly, it's Halliburton, because I know that Halliburton shapes the game even when he doesn't play. Like, even when he doesn't like score or assist, he shapes the game with his ability to control how things go. Apparently there's a Shea minus 195 finals MVP.
Where?
I bet you could put that in the comments, and we will not state that.
Yeah. By the way, for the
and-
chat, I do not drink at all,
and-
legitimately.
and so yeah, anyway, that's how that goes. Taylor wants to know, how does J-Dub win MVP? It's very simple, man. I think if he has a better game 7, J-Dub wins it, because J-Dub was better in the game 4 win, the game 5 win, and he'd be better in the game 7 win. So like, Shea had game 2, he's had better overall numbers. When they look at the overall series numbers, yes, but they will remember like J-Dub was huge in that game that they won. J-Dub was huge in that game that they won, and he was the best player in game 7. If J-Dub has a better game than Shea in game 7, I think J-Dub wins. I legitimately think J-Dub wins if they win the game.
Here's a question for both of you, because I think a lot of people will look at this and say, okay, let me just take a finals MVP position. How many finals MVP positions should you maybe limit yourself to? Or is that all dependent on like the timing of when you get them? Like, we got J-Dub at different times. I got him at 3,500. You got him at like better than 8,000. Siakam, we got at closer to 2,000 or whatever it was.
I mean,
How many
I think
finals
if you're
positions?
coming in,
Yeah.
If you're coming in fresh, I think you should bet it only as a proxy for who you think is going to win the game. And that's, if you like Thunder, just bet Shea minus 250. You're saving about $1 on that price. That's how much J-Dub has shortened it. So you can just get Thunder money line, not have to screw with the spread, not have to screw with the alts, not have to worry about the points. Just OKC wins this game by any margin. And the most likely outcome is obviously Shea Gilgeous-Alexander wins. That still gets you a better price than the money line in the market, which is right now 330. If you like the Pacers, likewise, you should go with Siakam, because he has been the better statistical player. But you have to understand going into this game, like, you are vulnerable. If Halliburton has a legendary performance to cap the series, coming back from a calf strain, hitting the threes tonight, leading his team to this win, hit the game winner in game 1, the clutchest shot in NBA Finals history, and then closes, Halliburton can win this award. Like, TJ takes Siakam sucking, Halliburton sucking, and he's the reason that they win a close, ugly game. It would be like if Artest had won, Meta World Peace had won that 2010 award instead of Kobe, because he was the guy that actually made the difference in that game. That's like kind of that's all the first and last time that TJ McConnell will get compared to Meta World Peace, by the way, in the history of content.
And it feels like it's close enough to where, well, you just laid out the case for J-Dub, for example. It feels close enough to where whoever plays the best on the winning team might just get the award. Like that, it might just be that simple. If it's presumably between Halliburton, Siakam, J-Dub, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I feel like everyone else is maybe too much of a long shot. We got some Nemhard in the comments, and I don't think Nemhard's been as consistent. Like, he would have to.
This is a 3-horse race. I think
four.
Halliburton would have to be otherworldly, because he had a dud in game 4 and game 5. I mean, that's hard to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
think
recency
so.
bias. I think if he does he even need to have a game as good as the one he had against the Knicks, where it was a 30-point triple-double?
Okay, let's actually like talk about this from a voter perspective.
Yeah,
because I want to kind of like get into this. Some of the voters will pull up the stats at NBA.com for the series. They will look at the series stats and go, okay, he finished with this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
He should win. But a lot of them, based off of the history of who they select, are storyteller narrative voters that have been writing about sports for a long time. Those voters are very likely to be like, no, like, he was a bigger factor in the series. I don't care that Shea averaged 34. Like, J-Dub's the one that won it. I don't care that Tyrese's net rating was X, Y, or Z. Like, there will be at least one person that'll be like, Tyrese Halliburton's net rating was X, Y, or Z. they get a broad sample of it is one from the commentary booth. So either Doris or RJ will have a vote. It will be several of the like you have to be a long time respected big outlet, but they will also get one representative from Indiana and one representative from Oklahoma City. So I would bet it's Joel Lorenzi from OKC from the Oklahoman. And I would bet on the Indiana side, it's either the young woman who started recently for the Athletic. I didn't know that she picked up the beat. It's either her or Dustin from the Star are the two that I would bet most likely are the ones that would get a vote in that situation. So, you know, what I'm trying to tell you is like everyone that's going to be like, no, it can't be shit. It's got to be shit. Like you're going to hear this from Brandon Anderson tomorrow. It's like, no, it's got to be shit. Like, come on, he's averaging X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, they're not like half of them are not going to look at that unless it's a blowout and they have time. Because bear in mind, like you get that ballot in the fourth quarter. Like I've sat next to the guys that have done it before. And it's like, you get that and you're making notes and you're doing all these things. And oh, by the way, I got to put in my ballot for finals MVP. Like that's how it works. Right. It's not like they have a group of people in a clubhouse that sit down and decide it during the game. It's just like you're doing all your work and then you make a decision and you're like, yeah, it was this guy. So that to me, I think is important to understand about how this thing is decided. It is not as analytical as I think people would hope for it to be.
I think that's a great breakdown. I also think it's a nice reminder for people out there that unless you're getting a phenomenal number, just find something else to bet on. Because I just don't want to put my money on somebody's vote who's emotionally sitting courtside making notes. That's not how I bet on sports. I bet on results. I bet on players. I bet numbers, situations. This is just it's such a deviant from that. And unless you're getting some phenomenal number, which all of those are pretty much gone, you guys got them. I mean, you guys are sitting on those. That's phenomenal.
Just one more.
I think right now you're probably done.
Brian's like, how many can I add to this? What's one more?
You got another name?
Tyrese Halliburton Finals MVP moved to 1,500 now.
Oh my God!
And that like you, how can you not? How can you not? If you think Indiana's gonna win,
yep.
Because Siakam right now, I'm seeing 370, 300, and 320. How can you not? Especially if you're me and you have a Siakam position already at 1,900, how could you not also take a Halliburton position at 1,500 if you think Indy has a real shot at this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you do. I think you do. I think you like. There's a reason.
I'm doing it right now.
There's a reason when Halliburton hit his second three is when I started looking at Halliburton Finals MVP odds, because I was like. Now, I was also the other reason is because I was constantly refreshing because I needed to get a low enough price on Shea to cover my Jalen Williams position. That's what I did is I grabbed the minus 190 to cover my 1.5 unit bet on J-Dub so that if OKC wins, I come out even at worst on that bet. I think it's going to be really interesting to hear from everybody across our group about who's winning, what they're playing, how they're betting this. I think it's going to be really interesting. Hey, give us a like and subscribe, by the way, if you're watching right now at youtube.com/The Action Network. I'm going to pull up some numbers based off of what we're seeing in the market early on here. I understand both positions of, like Brandon, I do understand the idea of like, look, every other game, it's been every other game except for game 5. It's one team wins, we overreact, the other team wins, we overreact, the other team wins, back and forth. Now, the Thunder did win 2 in a row, right? And we talked about like, are they really going to win 3 in a row versus the Pacers? And I had to bet OKC tonight because I needed to hedge that 20-1 a little bit. I do think, though, I get the idea of like, look, because one of the reasons I'm resistant to this Kravitz of the idea of like, let's just keep it simple, the KISS principle here, home team, game 7, better squad, coming off a loss, right? is just the inherent nature of Indiana. Today was like a very like, oh, OKC's going to wrap this up, right? Like, yeah, OKC. Like I said on the pregame show, I was like, look, Occam's razor is the Thunder win tonight. They would close out the series. Halliburton can't go enough. He's too hurt. And like, it's annoying because I didn't have the conviction to fade everybody who was like, no, come on, Halliburton's hurt. He's not going to be right. And I was like, I don't know. Like, injuries are weird. Sports happens. I will say that this is really the genuine question. Kravitz and Brian, I think, are in alignment on this. The Pacers are different, not in the like just emoji way. They are genuinely a historical outlier.
They're different. That's how they got to a Game 7. That doesn't mean they're going to win Game 7. I would give them a mini parade in downtown Indianapolis just for getting to this point. This is crazy what they have done. Counting them out in Game 6 was the mistake. That was absolutely the error by the betting masses, was counting this team out. Whenever you think they're dead, they're not. But they got it. They got the one. They got that one. Okay, so they got that out of their system. This is kind of what we see with this basketball team. Now, of course, in the past, they've either gone up against the Knicks or some fortunate injury situation. They don't have that here. They're going into Oklahoma City, the toughest place to play this season in the NBA, against a team that just got embarrassed in Game 6. That is the better team. I think it absolutely applies. The general simple logic. I will be shocked if I'm wrong about this.
Wow. Okay, then you gotta. Okay, surely.
Famous last words. Be careful.
Surely you will at least bet the money line. Then, if you're that confident, you have to at least bet the money line. Or do you want to lay
the Thunder?
Points? Yeah. Or do you want to lay the points?
No, I'm going to lay the points.
Okay. Yeah. I love this part of it because it's the okay. Going Game 4 before that, Brian and I were talking and we were like, if OKC wins Game 4, they're winning Game 5. I'm going to like the Pacers in Game 6. And then if it's a Game 7, I'm going to like Pacers. Like, I'm going to like Pacers in that environment. So I want to validate being right there, but now I'm facing the recency, like the inverse recency bias, which is like the fact that you're right. The fact that this was such a blowout, Brian, I will say makes me very much like, I don't want to take a dog after they just won a blowout. That's not a good spot. You don't want to back the dog on the money line for back-to-back upsets coming off a blowout home win, right?
Where do you think the public money is going to be in this game?
Well, I'll tell you where the sharp money
to that point.
It's already popping out. This has already moved to 8.5. Pacers are taking sharp money. Sharps are already hitting the 9.
Yeah. We think OKC will get late money, I assume.
I don't know at this point because
I think more of it will be on Indy, though, if I had to guess.
So it was interesting because Fiddle had talked about this, about how OKC kept taking on sharp money. And then today on the pregame show, I was like, hey, Indiana's taking sharp money late. Like, this is moving back because it started moving back before Halliburton was announced in. It started coming back down. They were already moving that direction. And Raybon was kind of like, yeah, I don't really think it's hit at all in the series. And then it hit tonight. And I think Chris was right that it hasn't hit in the series. Chris is very good. But it's like interesting now that I think the Sharps now are kind of like, yeah, no, the Thunder are overrated in this market. I'll check the numbers on Bet Labs and I'll have more for it tomorrow on our Best Bets episode on Friday.
I placed the bet right now. I got them at -8, so I feel pretty good about that.
Beetle Odds Fantasy has a very important comment.
Fathead, who has been in here yelling at me every single game about how the Pacers are underrated and the Pacers are going to win the series, has called Pacers win 1-2 plus 1,000. I will make a special graphic for you on buckets if you hit this bet. I will make a special graphic and I will display it on this show after the finals if you hit this bet, Fathead.
We're not talking about Drake enough and him putting 800K on the Thunder and tagging Shai
no,
Gilgeous-Alexander on Instagram and
good
being
point.
like, check this off or whatever he said.
Yep.
I know they're Canadian, so whatever. But if Drake bets on the Thunder again, he is a jinx. So Brandon Kravitz, just beware.
Yeah, this is a good pull by you guys. I've never cared about anything less than what Drake bets on.
He lost $8 million this month or something like that, I read. Or is it 150? I don't remember.
Well, it feels like I lost that much. So really, what's worse between the two of us? Okay.
I volunteer to be on the post game show just to take the medicine.
I may make
lap.
everybody be on it. Honestly,
let's just come on.
We'll have like a rotating cast. And I'll bring people in because like I gotta pull Jim Turvey in. He'll be on anyway because it's Future Jays. Joe and Jim will be with me. And then Brandon probably won't, but Branderson will probably won't. But oh man, I mean, I think this is a fascinating game based off of like the perception of how do you approach this, because the Pacers, this is the exact type of spot where everyone counts out the Pacers and the Pacers win. We did it to them over and over and over again in these playoffs where we're like, well, they're not going to win this one. And then they win. Not going to win this one. And then they win.
But we are also getting a discount on the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have not been 8-point favorites at home once in this series. The number is always between 9.5 and 11. So this is, I kind of look at this the other way. You're right. The Pacers have been counted out a number of times. I have taken my turns backing them and fading them. And
I thought you were going to come in here and be like, this Pacer. I was like, sure that it was going to be like, I was going to have to play the other side and be like, well, OKC at home. And
yeah, the heaviest bet that I made in this series was game one. I took the Pacers plus 9.5 Pacers money line. That was my boldest call of the entire series. I was all over that. Octobox game 7 reaction Red Zone.
I'm gonna try and do it. We're gonna try to do an Octobox on.
We'll see if we can get. Can we get Scott Hansen to break this one down too? Because that would really put it over the top.
We don't got that kind of budget.
I'm a Pacers. I'm a Pacers believer, believe it or not. I know it doesn't sound like it. What I'm a believer in is that these two teams are a lot closer than the market suggested coming into the series. But situationally, this is a Thunder spot. 100%. That's where I'm at on this. I don't think the Thunder are 7 worlds better than the Indiana Pacers. I think they are going to crush them in game 7. So please understand the difference in my thinking here. I don't think OKC is that much better. I think this series got to 7 for a very specific reason. We are in the parity era of the NBA. This stuff is going to happen. But OKC is going to smack them.
And Matt, you said that this is a spot where everyone doubts Indiana. I think OKC is going to have a lot of doubt in this spot because of what we've been talking about and wondering whether or not people will overreact to this blowout loss. And what I would say is like, okay, maybe OKC actually, like maybe this is the spot for them. I just also think because Indy is on the other side, it doesn't really matter who the spot is for, because I don't know how many times in this series can we go like the team. And honestly, it's probably more so been OKC spots than not in this series. But if we go game by game and look at who is this spot for, I don't know if the team has always won.
Can we? I want to challenge myself on this because I said this. I want to go back real quick because we got time here. Let's go back to the Cavs series. First round doesn't matter. Who cares? Let's go to the second round. Especially, we don't want to talk about the first round because I bet on the Bucks. Game 1, Cavs coming off of a massive, comfortable, easy win over a trash Heat team. They were soft. Pacers caught them. They were banged up, right? Okay, so the game 2 is the bounce back spot, but they're even more hurt in that game. right? No Evan Mobley, no DeAndre Hunter in that game too. Pacers steal it again.
And didn't Garland also sit?
Yes, they were out,
Yeah.
but they were out without all three. So like both of those spots that would have been bad. One, game one on the road. Two, the bounce back spot that they win to go up 2-0. Both of those weren't actually that bad when you dive into like the context of where the Cavs were at. Okay, they lose game 3, predictable. They win game 4, predictable. We would have said like, all right, the Cavs are not getting swept. They're going to get 1, 4, and then 5. I think is probably the one where you're like, Cleveland can probably come back and get this. But being down 3-1, it was already such a like they were already buried. Garland wasn't right. Okay, so let's go to the Knicks series. Same deal. They steal game 1, right? The Knicks come in off of that Celtics series way too high because they came in off of we beat the Celtics. The Pacers catch them in game 1, right? They come in and they win game 2. And that one is probably like the best. Like that's an example of, yeah, that's a bad Pacers spot and they won anyway. Mm-hmm. And then we're back in the same pattern. They lose game 3, they win game 4, they close in game 5, right? Or they lose game 5, they win in game 6. Mm-hmm. So predictable for them to lose game 5. Now we're into the finals, and that game 1 was the worst spot. It's why we were all on OKC. They're going to kill them because of the game 1 trends. And that's the best example of like the Pacers do not give a fuck about your trends because they went into that game and cleaned up, right? They lose game 2 in a blowout. That's predictable. They win game 3. That was always predictable. We talked about game 3 being the best spot. Game 4, you're not going to beat OKC twice in a row you're not going to get out of there without OKC winning one of those 2 games. So they win that one. Thunder win game 5, predictable. Pacers come back and win game 6, predictable. So like the question,
wait. You would call this one predictable? There were a lot of trends that you laid out that really favored.
You're right.
The team up 3-2, closing out in 6.
You're right.
I think this is a heavy Thunder spot for a lot of people.
You're right
here. I think there's a lot of people bet Thunder.
But given the personality of this Pacers team, I think if Tyrese Halliburton was completely healthy, the Pacers would have been a much more popular bet. Whether that's among the public, among smart bettors, among the sharps, whatever group, I think there would be a very smart group of people that know what they're doing that would have been primarily on the Indiana Pacers. That injury spooked the hell out of a lot of people.
It did. And it's annoying because
that's the biggest factor here.
I bought into it because everybody was telling me I was insane for being like, I don't know, man, like injuries are weird and you really can't predict them. And everybody's like, are you crazy? He's got one leg. They're gonna amputate him, and I was, and then I get talked out of
the Kevin Durant thing may have been brought up one too many times.
He didn't even play that great either.
I have an interesting stat here.
He was fine, but he wasn't awesome.
Yeah.
Since 2003, what was the final margin in tonight's game?
21, I believe.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah.
21.
87 points for the Thunder.
Wait, no, it wasn't. It was
27.
17.
17.
17. Okay, so
108, 91.
Yay, math.
Yeah, yay, math. Okay,
91 points. I missed the last 4 because I was like confused as to why James Johnson got ejected. So I wiped the final 60 seconds away from memory.
So this is actually kind of funny. If you won the previous game by 15 and it's a game 7 and you're on the road, 5-8 straight up, 9-4 against the spread, 3-10. By the way, 10-3 to the under in those spots. But if you push it to 20, it's 4-3 straight up. If you dominated, I think it is worth mentioning, if you dominated game 6, the trend here suggests that you win game 7. They have won and covered the last 3. That was Warriors over Rockets 2018, Mavericks over Suns in game 7. Remember that one?
Oh, do I?
In 2022. And then last year it was Wolves over Nuggets. Remember the Wolves beat the snot out of the Nuggets at home. And then they walk into Denver and they come back from down 20 to win. But they were down 20.
And we don't care about home court as much in 2025 as we probably would have in even 2015. But
we probably should for OKC despite the game 1 loss.
But should we against Indiana? Of all the teams.
Yes, because they've won 2 of the 3 games by double digits at home.
And it
Right?
doesn't. Here's the thing. This
You
is what I
get
keep going to.
okay. I'm with you on what you're trying to get here, but what you can't do is you can't be like that doesn't matter. Only the result that backs my prior matters.
No. What I'm saying is anything that's going against Indy
not-
doesn't matter because they don't give a fuck.
But that's the
They
point here.
don't care.
You're right that it goes against them, but we're more trying to predict like what's Indy's performance going to be. And Indy twice on the road has gotten blown out. We can't stick to our priors so much that we're cemented in them. We're not Brandon Anderson.
Dragged.
Is it different in a game 7? Is my question.
See that as a good. See what Kravitz? What do you think?
Well, I am of the belief that this Indiana Pacers team breaks a lot of rules here. And here's something that we have not seen from the Indiana Pacers in these playoffs is a game 7. So I don't know. I felt very confident. I'll go back. This will be the last time I ever bring it up. The reason I was as confident as I was going into game 1 was because this has been the strongest theme of the Indiana Pacers is that they start a series hot. They jump down your throat. They kind of take you by surprise with their play style. It's so regular season-y, and then they hit you with it in the playoffs. I think it throws teams off. So that's been we have no idea what a game 7 Pacers team looks like. So I don't really know what to use from NBA history that helps guide this sort of decision of how to look at this game, because Indiana is that different and that weird, and they have not been in this spot yet. Unless you go back to last year, you look at the Knicks series, but OG Anunoby was like 50% a player. So
a lot of folks in the chat are talking about Thunder first quarter. I want to give some context and trends on that. Game 7, if you lead after the first quarter, 30-10 straight up in the full game, 24-16, 60% on the full game spread. If you lead at half, so we move to the half, 39-8 straight up, 31-16 against the pregame spread line. So by the way, again, look at the under trends here. 31-16 to the under, but that does count the first round, which is where this stuff gets weird. If you're up at halftime and it's conference finals or finals of a game 7, 2-3 straight up. Wow. What? Yep. Okay. Yeah, get this, Kravitz. Jesus. Brian, are you ready for this?
Probably not, but let's go.
The Warriors led at home in 2016 and lost. The last 3 teams, it's 3 teams, but the last 3 teams to lead at halftime of a game 7 in the conference finals or finals lost outright after leading at half.
Which tees me up for, if you want, because I may sprinkle on this one more time because it's been profitable.
Yes, take us home.
OKC first half, Pacers full game is plus 900.
All right,
the market right now.
Let's put it in the quick slip. Let's do it. Quick slip that. And that will do it for us here on Buckets. I appreciate you guys being with us. My thanks to Brandon Kravitz and Brian Fonseca for staying up with me tonight post-game. We'll have best bets tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern. Sean Little and Brandon Anderson will try and talk me into betting the Thunder to win by 700 points. On Sunday, 4:30 Eastern. Sorry, 6:30 Eastern. 4:30 my time, 6:30 Eastern. Best bets live at youtube.com/the Action Network. A post-game special show with as many of our psychos as I can talk into joining us. We will see you guys then. Thanks for joining us. My thanks to David Payne for producing this episode. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get some Game 7 buckets.